Hello, Mo. Yeah, now that's better. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the January 8th, 2019 meeting of the City of Columbia Board of Zoning Appeals. My name is Chuck Sally, and I serve as chair of the board, and at this time I'd like to introduce the other board members with us today. So my far left is Josh Speed, immediately next to Josh, Reggie McKnight. To my immediate right is Marcellus Primus, and then Jenna Stevens and George Schaefer. I would also like to introduce the staff that will be assisting the board at the table in front of us. Rachel Bailey, the zoning administrator, and Hope Hasty, the deputy administrator. Also assisting today is Andrea Wolf, the land use board coordinator. This board is charged with hearing applications for special exceptions, variances, and administrative appeals. All testimony is recorded for the record, and anyone wishing to speak will need to be sworn in and come to the podium to speak. No testimony may be taken from the floor. When you come to the podium, state your name and please speak clearly into the microphone because this meeting is being recorded. Applicants with cases before the board are allotted a presentation time of 10 minutes. This time also includes all persons presenting information on behalf of the applicant. This time limit does not include any questions asked by the board or staff regarding the case, and any member of the public may address the board in intervals of 3 minutes or 5 minutes in the event that you're a spokesperson for an established body or group of 3 or more people. The applicant then has 5 minutes for rebuttal, and the board reserves the right to amend these limits on a case-by-case basis. So for those of you who plan to speak, you must be sworn. So if you're here as an applicant or you're here to speak, in any case, please stand at this time and raise your right hand. Do you affirm or attest that the testimony you will give today is the truth and nothing but the truth? So at this time, I'd like to turn the meeting over to Ms. Bailey.
Good morning. So the first matter of business, I do want to announce a case deferral. Item number 13 on the agenda, case 2018-0123 for 1525 Westminster, that was deferred by applicant. So that will be heard in February. The consent agenda is used to approve non-controversial or routine matters by a single motion and vote. If a member of the board or the general public wishes to discuss an item on the consent agenda, that item is removed and considered on the regular agenda. The board then approves the remaining consent agenda items. On the consent agenda today, we have the approval of the December 11th, 2018 minutes. Case number 2, 2018-0112 at 121 Shop Road Extension, variance to the off-street parking requirement for warehousing use. Item number 3, 2018-0119 for 1401 Laurel Street. This is a special exception to establish a miscellaneous personal service and event space. Item number 4, 2018-0120 is also at 1401 Laurel. This is a variance to the off-street parking requirement for the miscellaneous personal service event space. Item number 5, case 2018-0121 at 505 Tyler Street. This is a special exception to permit an in-home daycare. Item number 6, 2018-0124 for 4 Lake Point Road. This is a variance to the front yard setback requirement for a single-family residence. Item number 7, 2018-0125 for 2112 and 2114 Sumter Street. This is a variance to the buffer yard requirement for an office use. Item number 8, 2018-0126 for 2112 and 2114 Sumter Street. This is a variance to the off-street parking requirement for an office use. Item number 9, case 2018-0127 for 2112 and 2114 Sumter Street. That's a special exception to permit an alternative parking service. If anyone on the board or in the general public wishes to have a case removed from the consent agenda, please let us know now.
Thank you, Rachel. Just to be clear for everyone, we are getting ready to vote on the first 9 items, 2 through 9, without any testimony or presentation from the applicant, just based on their written application. So if there's somebody that wants any of these removed from that consent agenda, they need to speak now or forever hold your peace. Great. I'll entertain a motion. Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Consent agenda is approved.
All right, now we're going to the regular agenda. Item number 10 was deferred. That was 3624 Rosewood. So we're on item number 11, which is case 2018-0111. This is for 3038 Bronx Road and also a parcel on Belvedere Drive. This is a special exception to establish a towing service. If the applicant is here, they're welcome to come forward and address the board.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of this board. My name is Ian McVeigh, and I rarely need a microphone. I'm with the law firm of Turner, Paget, Graham, and Laney, and I represent the applicant, Elgin's Towing, in the matter that is before the board today. I have with me here packages for each of you that I think, if you will allow me to approach to give them to you,
Give them to Rachel, please.
that I think will be informational. My intention here is just to give you sort of a brief overview of what it is that we're trying to do, and I'm really going to let Mr. Elgin get down into the details of exactly what it is that we intend for this property. But just by way of a little background, Elgin's Towing has been in business for 45 years, and during that time period, Elgin's has served the city of Columbia with all of its towing needs. It is currently operating out of the old Dick Dyer location on Two Notch, about 1 block away from where we are. That property is on the market, and Mr. Elgin obviously finds himself in need of a new location. Wright Properties has agreed to purchase this existing property from the owner, Mr. Fogel, and to redevelop the property for his needs. They're going to do all of the upfit work, and they're really going to clean the property up. Again, I'm going to let Mr. Elgin get a little further into exactly what it is that they intend. As y'all are aware, well, and let me also point this out, that Wright Properties is so sure that this is the correct property for this use that it is the subject of a 1031 transaction, and the property has already been identified by Wright Properties. So as you can understand, time is of the essence for Wright Properties. As you are aware, this board is charged with looking at about 8 criteria when considering a special exception. The first is whether the proposal will have a substantial adverse impact on the vehicular and pedestrian traffic and their safety. The second is whether the proposal will have a substantial adverse impact on the adjoining properties in terms of environmental factors. The third is whether the proposal will have a substantial adverse impact on the aesthetic character to the area. The fourth is whether the proposal will have a substantial adverse impact on public safety or create a nuisance. The fifth is whether the proposal will create a concentration or proliferation of the same type of business. The sixth is whether the proposal is consistent with the character of the underlying district. In this case, this is general commercial. And the seventh is whether it's appropriate for the location. And obviously the eighth is whether the proposal will adversely affect the public interest. I would submit to y'all right now that this is nothing but an improvement for this property, is nothing but a improvement for the neighborhood. The character of the neighborhood, as Mr. Elgin will explain to you a little further, there's already Phillips Auto Tech right there, Cool Care Heating and Air. This is just a commercial space. Mr. Elgin's going to get into a little more detail, and then if y'all have any questions of me at the end, I'll be happy to come back up. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you, sir.
My name's Darrell Elgin, owner of Elgin's Towing Service. I want to thank y'all for listening to me for my special exception. We would like to locate from 3215 Two Notch Road, which, like he explained, was about 1.5 blocks up the road. And we found this property. It's been vacant since the last business license I seen was 2004. It was Highland Automotive, and we would like to move our towing service there. We don't have any adverse effect against the community, or we're going to be entering off Belvedere Drive, which is abandoned properties on both ends, and it's across the street from Phillips Auto Tech's back lot. There is no residential areas to where my trucks will be entering and exiting, and all my business will be conducted towards Belvedere Drive, which there's a residential area around that section. We don't do any oil changes, no fumes, no adverse effects on the environment. We're open from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, and pretty much we do not scrap, we do not handle selling parts or anything like that. We pretty much pick up vehicles and deliver vehicles. If we have a vehicle that we've totaled for an accident for the city of Columbia, it comes onto the property, the insurance company evaluates the vehicle, and then their scrap people pick it up. If it's a total loss, or we'll tow it to another body shop. We don't tow any of our vehicles. If we do get one, we consider, on most of my accounts, Nuttall's, Midas, all my automotive accounts, I've got it set up to where if we tow it over the weekend and they're closed and I can't get it on their lot, I'll store it for 48 hours and then take it to them on Monday. That's pretty much how we conduct, our business is conducted. We don't, like I say, we're not a scrap yard. I'm going to put new fencing up with screening, with razor wire and cameras for security. It's just to protect our property and their customers' vehicles.
You mentioned in your testimony and in your written application that y'all are open between 8 and 5 p.m. Is that correct?
Yes.
And is there not any time when you would have someone entering the lot or is closed or what would be beyond those hours or?
After hours, we do, with the city of Columbia, we are 24, we have to be there with city contract. But you usually get one city violation or one city wreck, and we will enter in that part, drop the vehicle. I got 2 employees, only 1 truck's running. I don't have a fleet of trucks coming in and out of there 24/7. Right. If we do get an after-hour accidents, we'll drop the vehicle, and then that's it.
Is there an employee on the site?
I'm sorry?
Is there an employee on site at all times, or is it just
8
those
to
hours?
5, all the time on 8 to 5. At nights, no.
So I guess the tow truck has the ability to come in, unlock the gate, drop the car, and then leave?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Gotcha. So you're open for business from 8 to 5, but you essentially you're accessing the lot 24/7?
If need be.
Right. Okay. So if you don't mind, let's just quickly go through, these criteria again. We've repeated what the criteria are, but you really haven't explained why your special exception, is in case for that. You've done so in your application, and if you've got that, if you'd like to do that for the record, just to, go through and describe, the ways the proposed special exception will not have a substantial adverse impact on vehicular traffic or vehicular pedestrian safety, and how adequate provisions are made in the proposed exception for parking and loading and unloading.
We will not be affecting anybody. We're coming in through abandoned vehicles, and all our business will be conducted inside a fenced-in area with screening.
Right.
There will be no vehicles outside this fence. There will be no business conducted outside this fence. All loading and unloading will be done inside the fence, so no pedestrians. There's no sidewalks. There's no adverse effect on traffic coming in and out. So there's nothing around that area.
And then number 2, describe the ways the proposed special exception will not have a substantial adverse impact on the adjoining properties in terms of environmental factors such as lights, noise, glare, vibration, fumes, odors, obstruction of air, light, or litter.
No, sir, we will not. We have all our own dumpsters for any debris, and any debris from the accident vehicles. The insurance companies have to pick those up and take it with the vehicles. No lighting and everything will be outside the area.
You intend to light the parking lot, I would assume? I would assume you have lights inside the
Yes, sir.
thing. And I'm assuming that as part of this special exception, you would agree that, the lights would be placed in such a way that they do not bleed outside of the property line?
Yes, sir.
And then 3, describe the ways that proposed special exception will not have a substantial adverse impact on the aesthetic character of the area. I know you've given us some photographs. It's been abandoned since 2004. But it does sound like in your application you intend to put new fencing around. the property itself?
There is existing fencing there. We're just gonna have to repair it where it's been knocked down and trampled over the years. And a lot of it's been fallen down and it's got overgrowth in it. And there's already a 400 square foot office space there with a loading dock. We're gonna leave that alone, just put an office in so we can conduct what business from 8 to 5.
Gotcha. And is there any plans to do anything as far as screening with the
Yes,
with
there
the
will be
cyclone
screening.
fence?
Yes, sir.
So you do plan on screening the property, actually screening the interior parking area with a solid visual screen?
Yes, sir.
Describe the ways in which the proposed special exception will not have an adverse impact on public safety or create a nuisance conditions detrimental to the public interest that would likely result in law enforcement response, et cetera.
I've not proposed any of that. We're gonna put in safety cameras, and by state requirements of a towing service, you gotta have a 6 above fence with razor wire or three spans of barbed wire for protection and safety for the customer's vehicles. And I'm planning on, like I say, put cameras in and a security system.
Okay. So, again, that is, that's monitored by who? The cameras?
I'm gonna have it set up to where, right now at Dick Dyer, we have iVerify. I'm gonna take bids on, see what they can offer, but I'm gonna set up with a camera system to where you get alerts on your phones, things like that. So when it's pinged with today's technology, it can let you know if somebody walks on the lot.
And you're currently operating a lot, right, in the general vicinity off on 29?
It actually backs up to Belvedere Community.
Okay, so have you ever had, any law enforcement response to that lot?
No, sir.
Then, describe the ways in which the proposed special exception will not have an adverse impact on public safety or create nuisance conditions detrimental to the public interest. Which would, did I just do that already? I'm sorry. Explain how the establishment of the proposed special exception will not create a concentration or proliferation of the same or similar types of businesses. I'm assuming that you're going to close your existing operation on Two Notch?
What was that? I'm sorry.
Is you going to close the existing operation on Two Notch, or is that going to be an expansion?
No, we're closing. This is the second time I've had to move, and I'm just looking for a permanent place to where I can set up and have a home.
Gotcha. And you're aware of any other tow yards, within close proximity to this site?
Puff Howard's, Davis Towing, and Collision One's on Beltline on down there close where they just put the new City of Columbia Water Department. But we've all been on rotation for 10 years.
Right.
And city requirements are that you have to have a business established in the city limits for 2 years before you can get on city rotation.
Right. And then explain how the proposed special exception is consistent with the character and intent of the underlying district as indicated by the zoning district. I think you indicate in your response that it's zone C3, which allows for automotive service. Anything else you want to add to that?
That whole area, all the way around, it's pretty much automotive industry. I mean, there's a car wash backs up to it, 2 abandoned properties. It backs up to Phillips Auto Tech. You got the Auto Club, 2 blocks or half a block up the road right around the corner.
And then describe how the proposed special exception is appropriate for its location and compatible with the permitted uses adjacent to and in the vicinity of the property.
Pretty much, it's pretty much automotive all around us. I mean, like I just explained, there's auto sales and automotive, auto zones across the street. It's pretty much a mechanical industry, auto service industry.
Is there any residences contiguous to the property line?
On the back part, there's 2 on Scurry Road right across the street where I sent out letters to try to reach out to them. And there's one that's probably 1/4 of an acre away onto the left-hand side, which I posted some pictures. And I think the zoning's got it also.
Right.
But that's on the back part of the
Okay.
lot.
Lastly, explain in what ways proposed special session will not adversely affect the public interest.
Everything we'll have is going to be inside, done, all the business and everything that we will be doing will be inside the lot. Not disturbing any roadways, homes, coming in and out of residential area. Everything will be performed on Belvedere Drive.
Any questions from the board? Thank you very much for your
Thank you
testimony.
listening.
Is there anyone else who would like to come to the podium and speak for or against this application?
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
My name is Diane Wiley, president of Belvedere. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well.
I've been in the area ever since '75, and he called me. The applicant called me, and I told him, I said it was a waste to come out there because we don't want any more towing service. It's a lot of towing services out there, and we don't need any more. And where his business is going to be at, the houses are right there. One going to be right in the front. When they open their door, they'll be seeing that towing service. And there's a house on the side up there. I can't point that for on this side over here, right next door to it. And we don't even need that. The community do not want that. We got petitions, and the neighborhood is here. Some of them had to work. He called me, and I told him no, we was going to be fighting this, and we don't need this in our area. And we at the point now we're trying to fix up our area. And we got 2 towing services on Beltline Boulevard, right in our neighborhood. And anything on Two Notch Road and Beltline, that's fine. But coming in our neighborhood, no, because our streets are already messed up. The traffic is really bad. And we just don't need that right now, you know. And he's saying about the time limit. Would you want to live by a towing service? We're a residential, older neighborhood. We don't want to be living by no towing service. Two Notch Road and Beltline, I don't have no control over that. But you coming in our neighborhood off of Bronx Road, Bronx and Wendover. And we have a housing development of 655 houses. And these people not going for that. Our community is, all these people right here in our community. And we're supposed to fight for our neighborhood, and that's what we are here doing.
Yeah, you know, that property is vacant right now. Is it not? Is
It'd
it
be
not a
better for
nuisance?
house. It would be better for houses, not a business. Stay out there on, and he done moved 2
It's zone
times.
C3?
Residential would be a special exception.
We got businesses right there. They're not taking care of their area. We have to go out there and cut grass, keep the area clean. You know, we're tired now. And the question is, would you like to live by a towing service? This would not be going on in other neighborhoods like ours. We are here, the people are here to talk.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Any questions? Need to ask me?
I don't have any further questions.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Florence Butler, and I'm a longtime resident of the Belvedere community. I live on Scurry Street right there, so his coming will impact me greatly. He addressed some of the issues that I have. I'm an early morning walker, and my concern was the fumes of transmission and oil being in the air. I like the fresh air, and I didn't want to have to smell that in the morning. And another concern was the property kind of slant down in the back. And my concern was with all the rain we're getting, and then their oil and transmission, the water, what's going into our water. And he talked about putting up a privacy or a mesh. That's detrimental to a community. I wouldn't want to get up every morning and look at a mesh around a barbed wire fence. And I know there's nothing in the property now, but we have a relationship with the owner. When it starts to get overgrown, we call him and he comes out and he have it cut. The reason why I'm concerned about what we put into that place is because in the past, it was a dairy, it was an automotive, and it was a pallet company. When the pallet company was there, they brought in more pallet than they could transport out. After a while, the pallets started rotting, there were termites, and then it was just more rodents. And frankly, like Ms. Wiley said, who wants to live next to a junkyard? Our property value for being in the city of Columbia is nowhere near other property values because we're almost and completely African American community. So the question is to each and every one of us here, would you want a junkyard in your area? We have to think of the property values. It's not going up because a lot of the folks there are senior citizens like I am. We're either dying and our children have moved away and they're renting the property out. So yes, putting something there would be an improvement, but we have to be selective with what we put there.
Thank you
Yes,
so
they're
much for your
singling my
testimony.
time's up. Thank you. All right. With my 30 seconds,
Yes, ma'am.
he is speaking about Belvedere Drive. We are speaking about a community. He is making reference to Phillips Auto Tech, to AutoZone, to other places. They are on Two Notch Road. We are in the confines of a residential community. Yes, we are bound by commercial, but where his property is going to be, it's the main entrance to our community. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Katie Bolden, and I know Mr. Elgin said that there was another towing service near there, which was Puff House. It's not. Puff House in a
Thank you. Would you pull that
in
just a little
another
closer?
neighborhood.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Also, we do not want our property to depreciate. Since 2015, the flood, we've having problems with the streets, the ditches, the donut holes, and we have been working with the city effortlessly and tirelessly trying to get that corrected. I know Mr. Elgin said he will not be changing oil or transmission fluid, but if a car is wrecked and towed there, they're going to be leaking these different substances on the property. Also, I would advise, if you ever want to come to someone else's neighborhood, meet with the neighborhood association or the homeowners association and see what their wants are. And this will save the zoning board time, the person that's trying to move into the neighborhood. Not only that, if you're moving into the neighborhood, I understand he's been on Two Notch Road, I guess 2 or 3 years. Have you ever come to our neighborhood meetings to see what's going on with our neighborhood? Have you ever tried to support something that's going on in our neighborhood? These are the people that we want in our neighborhood. We don't want anyone that's coming in our neighborhood to depreciate our property or not being a part of the neighborhood. We welcome people in our neighborhood. We just welcome you, Harley, in our neighborhood. It's bringing jobs to our neighborhood. These are the things that we want. We want things to improve our neighborhood, not to depreciate our neighborhood. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Ron Sewell, and I'm a resident of the Belvedere area for 35 years. I can sit on my front porch. If you look to the left of this picture, I can sit on my front porch and look directly into that area. Now, Mr. Elgin claimed that it wouldn't be a nuisance. It would be a nuisance to our area. Any given day, you can see residents out there cleaning up their yards, the streets, even up in that area there. We have a fellow every 2 weeks probably cutting the grass along that area, that purple line there, the shrubbery there, trimming it. And if you ever been to Belvedere, I don't know if you've been there lately or not, but if you come through the Bronx Road area, we have E.F. Martin's, a commercial air condition there. On the other side, we have Cool Air, a commercial area. Also, we have the back area of the Grand Motel right in that same area. So it looks bad coming through there. If you come Truman Street off of Beltline, the other exit entrance to Belvedere, you have Nick's Automotive Car Lot, 100 cars there. You have an abandoned building, Southern Bell, nothing there, just a building. You have a rundown trailer in that area. So those two areas that you come into Belvedere, already commercial property there. I can sit on my front porch and look straight at that area. It doesn't look good now, but we try to keep it clean in that area. On any given day, you can find residents picking up trash all around Belvedere. So it will be a nuisance to have a wrecking service there. We just don't want it. We take great pride in our area. Come out there and look and see. And you
live on Wendover? You say you live on Wendover?
Sir?
You live on Wendover? You
I live on Scurry Street.
Scurry Street.
Yeah, that's the street facing
That's
red.
the other side of Bronx.
Huh?
That's the other side of Bronx. from
Scurry
this
Street
side.
comes up to Bronx.
Right.
Right. Right in the center of that area there. I can sit on my front porch and look directly into that area. And we just don't need a wrecking service there. Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir. Is there anyone else?
Good morning. My name is Jamie White, and I own the supposedly abandoned building that's coming into play next door. If you go back, can you flip that back? If you could, one more. If you see where the two lots are, the one on the right is Belvedere and the one on the left is Bronx. I'm in the brown building. I think you can go a couple more pages. Keep going. Keep going. One more. One more. Keep going. One more. There. I'm in that building right there on the left, the Paper Express building. And then there's the Quality Ink building right there. Now, I bought that building in 2016 from the bank that it had been abandoned for, I don't know, 8 or 10 years. Now, the couple that owns the Quality Ink building, they have been there for 41 years. And he's got sick, so now they're going to shut down their business. But my concern is, I've been in that building for 3 or 4 years, and in the last month, I got in a car accident and I had a trailer out front inside my lot, and somebody broke through it and stole my trailer. And I do have cameras and I do have lights out there. So my concern is with Mr. Elgin, I'm sure he's going to be a good client or a good neighbor, because that I have problems already with that property with rodents. There's homeless people living in that abandoned building that I've tried to take care of. On that street, these are the only two buildings on the left-hand side of Belvedere Drive. And in the last 4 years, I have tried to get rid of all the semis because there's no place for people to park. They park there all the time. They're not allowed there. They leave their trailers there for weeks. And I finally got to the point where they're not coming anymore. But my concern is if nobody's there from after 8 o'clock or 5 o'clock at night, are they going to do the same thing there? Knowing that now there's going to be cars in there, are they going to take stolen trucks like they did to mine, ram through the gate, and steal the vehicles that are in there? And I'm sure he's got cameras and lights and everything, but that still doesn't deter the fact of what happens out there. And all this is going to do is bring more people driving down that road looking to see what's in there. And that's my concern. Now, would he probably be an asset? Yes, because he's going to fix up the property. And it's terrible. Now, they cut it once a year, and that's it. Right now, the stuff's almost waist high again. And that's my concern. But that's all I got. Any questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Anybody else? Would y'all like to come back to the podium and read the rest of the thing?
Thank you. Very brief rebuttal, if I may, Mr. Chairman. First of all, let me address the security issue that was just raised. In the years that Mr. Elgin has been operating on Two Notch Road, he's never had a problem. He doesn't anticipate any now. Two, you have heard testimony today as to the condition of the property. My client is going to vastly improve the condition of the property. Right now, you just heard testimony right now that there are homeless people living in the property. It's not secure. My client's going to secure it. He's going to clean it up. He's going to put a privacy fence around it. He is going to vastly improve the quality of the property. You also heard him testify that we're not talking about a used car lot here. We're not talking about cars sitting for long periods of time. They are on average in and out in less than 48 hours. This is not a storage yard. I get that concern. I get the concern of wrecked cars sitting on a lot, dripping oil. I get that completely. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about very quick turnaround. This is a towing business. It's not an auto wrecking business. It's not a storage business. It's a towing business. You also heard what I don't think actually we discussed, and I believe it is in the materials that's in front of you, is there's a drawing of, and can you find that this is actual, there's a graph drawing of what the plans are for the property. I know it's in your packages. The entrance for the trucks, because I get the concept of nobody wants a tow truck coming down, clang, 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 clang at 1 o'clock in the morning. I get that. The entrance for the trucks is in and off of Belvedere, which is not a residential. There aren't residences right there. I understand these people's concerns that live on Scurry. I get that. That's not where the entrance is. The entrance is on Belvedere, right behind another commercial area. It's not going to alter what they do. And none of these trucks and none of these customers that will be coming in and out are going to go through their neighborhood. They're going to go straight back out to Two Notch. So the impact on the community really, truly is minimal. If anything, it is going to improve what is already there. And one of the residents I noticed raised the issue of whether that my client hadn't come to talk to him. He did. He reached out to Ms. Wiley, and Ms. Wiley shut him down immediately. He wanted to come talk with her, and she said, I have no interest. And so, we're not here. We want to be friends with the neighborhood, but it's been very difficult for us this far. Okay? Thank you very much. Appreciate your time today.
It's apartments on the area that he's coming in on. We got apartments out there too. That street that he's going on, we got apartments. I was nice to him when he called me. I told him, this is our area. You're not going to keep coming in our area and we're not going to do nothing about it. This is our area. Stay on Two Notch Road and Beltline. This is our area. They come here and tell y'all what they're going to do, and then we have a mess later on. We got a lady in here every day, pick up paper. It's apartments on that part that he's coming in. It's behind the church. It's apartments there. We not only have houses, we got apartments. And I was nice to him. I told him no. Puff Howard gave him my telephone number. And he's my cousin. And I told him no. That's all I have to say.
Katie Bolden again. When we signed for the lottery money, they said it's supposed to be used for education. Now it's used but for education, it's used for everything else. Just like Mr. Elgin said, the touring service is going in and out, but it's not going to be written in stone. If he gets that place, he can do whatever he wants to do. He can park cars there, leave them there. So this is not going to be written in stone. Thank you.
Just piggyback on what she's saying about cars parked there. at Mr. Elgin Place now, even though he said there would be nothing housed there, he does have cars there. Maybe they're waiting on the insurance company, but there are cars there.
Right.
So I just want that to be known. And we're not saying we couldn't afford a lawyer to come, but we have city council members here to make the right decision. We're not against Mr. Elgin having a business, but we just prefer for him to have it somewhere else.
So, I just want to make sure I've got this right. Rachel, this actually has frontage on Bronx Road and Belvedere Road, is that right? And there's a
Correct.
curb cut there.
Microphone issues. Yes, it is 2 parcels, and the applicant would combine the parcels. So it would have a frontage on Belvedere and a frontage on Bronx. That is correct.
Could the applicant approach the stadium? I have a question. The podium, I mean.
Yes, sir.
So, in your testimony, you stated that you would only access this lot from Belvedere Drive.
Yes, sir.
And I'm assuming that you would be willing to accept that as a condition of acceptance of your request for a special exception?
Yeah, the access to Belvedere,
Right.
yes.
Would you also be willing to essentially, there's an existing driveway there on your property that goes by the fence. I mean, would you be willing to make some improvements to that back so that it was screened by vegetation as opposed to just a fence along Bronx Road?
Yeah, yes, sir, that's the plan. Yeah, the sketch I've got out, there's going to be fencing and landscaping on the back part of the area.
Did I see that sketch? Is that in this package?
That's optional. I mean, if it's a point, we can just go ahead and knock that off and have everything come off Belvedere, because there's 2 entrances to the lot. I mean, we see an average probably 6 to 7. It all depends. I mean, City of Columbia sometimes do, yes. Average 15 to 20, yeah. And to speak on the oil and transmission fluid, none of that's, I mean, usually when they get in an accident, that's already leaked out on the streets, and by the time it gets in their lot, there's no fluids left in the vehicle. There's no repair in this fence. It's going to have to be pulled out and replaced. Chain link with screening. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. I have a picture here of the Bronx Road. We solicited the city for a grant, and we received a grant for beautification. So there are about 7 crepe myrtles along with the rose bushes that blooms yearly. And we did this as a part of beautification for the area. And that's a picture of that Bronx Road right before you get to right after the entrance into that lot. We have a sprinkler system there to keep the foliage, flowers alive. So we are trying to beautify our area.
Let me ask you a question. So you've got this piece of property right here with a commercial building on it on Bronx Road, with access to Bronx Road. So, you know, I mean, this could be used for any number of general commercial uses right there that don't require a special exception, that could come in and be accessing Bronx Road in and out to use this property. Now, what I just heard from the applicant is he's willing, as a part of this special exception, to completely close Bronx Road off from having any access. Bronx Road would have no access to this property whatsoever. And to add additional screening, their vegetation screening to the site, so that it basically, you know, you don't even see
The
vehicles
aesthetics
coming
of
down
the Bronx Road is fine as it is. If he was there and just had the property mowed, what he would have to put up fences for is in the back where going out, because we wouldn't want anything to the front to make it look like it was a confined area. But another thing we have to look at is, like it was said, there are other companies there. And I know he said the many times he would come in and out, but it's already a traffic jam in the morning for people trying to go to work. With him utilizing the back entrance, it's still a problem because that's like a shortcut road for some people instead of going up to the light. So it will cause a traffic problems. There's buses and children going to school in the morning. So, and like we said, we know it's residential. And the pallet company that we had there, we had to come back and get city council to help us to get that company out of there. So we don't want to come back for you all to help us to get this out.
Please come up to the podium.
Belvedere area, been there 41 years. And I listened to all, and I need to make it clear that Wendover and Belvedere has the greatest church in our area there, the Gunners Chapel Baptist Church. And we are somewhat the neighborhood church. And he made the statement that he would utilize Belvedere Drive to make entrance to his company. And I think that's a bad decision, because the church is not just open on Sunday. We have funerals, we have special programs there. Traffic is somewhat crowded when the church is going on. And I just cannot imagine record service pulling through there when we've gone to the length of having our church, having that church there, whether it's on a Sunday, or Saturday, or Monday, or Tuesday, or Wednesday, whatever day it is, to have them drag through there with wrecked cars and whatever else he might bring through there. I solicit you this morning that we've said many times this morning that it is a residential area. And I'm quite sure every member at the Gunners Chapel Baptist Church would be appalled to we having service or getting out of service, and there is record service coming through the middle of our church services, or we're going to our cars and they're dragging wrecked cars on Belvedere Drive through our area. There is many places that he can go. But
Just for the record, your church is the one that faces Wendover Street?
I'm at Good Aim Missionary Baptist Church, but I am a worshiper as well when Gunners Chapel has got something going on.
I got you.
Right in the corner there, Wendover and Belvedere.
Belvedere, right.
And if he come off 2 Notch, and he said it this morning that he would use Belvedere Drive for his entrance. And that's right between parking lot here, the church is here.
He's about a block, yeah, he'd be about a block and a half off 2 Notch, turning left and right out of Belvedere.
Yes, sir, he will. I ask that you would consider not only the church, but the community. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Another thing I want to say, when we come out as a community, we got our petitions, and we come out here to fight, and you consider us. We're not going to be wasting our time coming out here looking at you. This is our community. It will not happen in other communities. We do not need a towing service in our area. We got enough. This year, let's start off right now. You know.
Yes, ma'am. Any further discussion here? Sure.
I'm the current owner of the property,
And your name?
Carlisle Fogle, and the people here want to buy the property for their use, and the gentleman that was up here before, that's my adjacent neighbor, he would like to buy the property as well. And I'm just a simple electrician. And we have never had the city get involved in making us clean by threaten or whatever. We have had the grass get tall. We have tried to lease the place many different times to many different concerns, and everything that seemed to come to us was vehicular in some way. And like I said, I'm just a simple electrician, and that's all I am. But at times, I've thought, well, if worse comes to worse, I could sell where I'm at now and move in over here. And what if I decided to move my electrical shop in here? And from what I'm hearing, I don't have control of my own property if I were to do whatever, and that's really all I'm hearing. And I've been in there before. You know, you try to run the homeless people out, and what do you do? But this would be a wonderful way to keep the property safer. I think it would add to the security, and it would certainly be a better way to keep it safer and cleaner than it is right now until the area can find a better use, and certainly maybe they'll find a better use in a better place. But it bothers me to hear that I couldn't move into my own property and build a shop if worse came to worse. And and it's already approved for the use. And that's all I can say. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any discussion on the board? The chair will entertain a motion.
I move that that we denied this application for this towing service.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? No.
No.
For clarity,
Show of hands.
so just for the record, Mr. Schaefer? Okay, to the motion to deny, Ms. Stevens?
Aye.
No.
Mr. McKnight? You made the motion.
Yeah, but,
Mr. Stevens?
No.
So the motion carries.
You know what? You know what got me? You know what got me?
So we'll pause a minute just as
Okay.
we
Thank you.
Thank you.
get situated.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you all for coming out. That's good. No, we do. That's that one. Yeah, I gotta use it too. Yeah.
So we do have some more matters on the agenda, so if everyone could just exit quietly, it'd be appreciated. All right, the next item on the agenda is case 12, 2018-0122. This is for 7509 Garners Ferry Road, Suite J. It's a special exception to permit a liquor store. The applicant's welcome to approach the podium.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Corey Wilder, and I am the owner of that shop, or would-be shop. Well, it's there now. I had a shop on Two Notch Road for 4 years, 8712, and I was approached by the group that owns the property there on Garners Ferry that the grocery store and some of the people in the neighborhood would like a liquor store on that side of Garners Ferry. There are lots of apartment buildings and residential area and a lot of foot traffic on that side that were happy to have a liquor store there so that they didn't have to cross Garners Ferry, which, I mean, if you're aware, there's been a couple of hit and run accidents where people have died on Garners Ferry trying to cross the road. I was not aware that I had to apply for a special exemption. I did all the other things in the law, which I was aware of from being over on 8712 Two Notch. Had SLED come over and post a 45-day notice for people to protest or appeal.
Right.
That was posted on the door. I also put a 3-week ad, which is required by law, in the newspaper, the Carolina Star, and I also filled out all my applications and paid all my fees. I was made aware of this, and I quickly filled out all the paperwork that I needed to fill out for this,
Yes,
in
ma'am.
hopes of speeding things through.
So you've answered the criteria, in your application.
Yes, sir.
Do you have a copy of that handy? Do you want to?
I do not.
We just go over those quickly. Describe the proposed special exception will not have a substantial adverse impact on vehicular traffic, pedestrian safety, and how adequate provisions are proposed a special exception for parking and or loading and unloading. I think you've already mentioned that you were approached by this to basically try to eliminate having, people going across the road to get to a store, and that you are in a fairly large retail strip center with ample parking and commercial uses surrounding you. Is that correct?
Yes.
Describe in what ways the proposed special section will not have a substantial adverse impact on adjoining properties in terms of environmental factors, noise, lights, glare, vibrations, lights, litter, etc.
No fumes or anything like that. I have no food in my store. It doesn't draw any rodents, animals, things like that.
You'll be in a professionally managed shopping center?
Yes.
So they have criteria that they require tenants to adhere to, such as signage and stuff like that?
Absolutely.
Gotcha. Then describe the ways in which the proposed special section will not have a substantial adverse impact on the character of the area, to include orientation, spacing of buildings, etc. You mentioned you were going into an existing retail space,
Yes.
in
it was
the
a
shopping
retail-
center?
It was a retail space for cell phones and audio equipment. And from what I've been made aware, several years prior, maybe 5 or more, there was an existing liquor store in that strip mall, but it moved out before the current property owners purchased the property.
Right. Okay. And then describe the ways in which the proposed special exception will not have an adverse impact on public safety or create nuisance conditions detrimental to the public interests, or conditions likely to result in increased law enforcement response.
Well, I follow the law. I'm closed at 7 p.m. Doors are locked, and area is cleared away. It's the same as if I were still at 8712 Two Notch.
And then explain how the establishment of the proposed special exception will not create a concentration or proliferation of similar types of special exception uses in the area. Is there any other liquor store in that shopping center?
Not in that shopping center, no. There is one across Garner's Ferry, near the Walmart.
Right. And then explain how, I'm sorry, go ahead.
There is a lot of pedestrian traffic on that side of the road. From the residents, the apartment buildings, lots of people walk to the grocery store, the hair salon, everything else. And they really were happy that they did not have to cross Garner's Ferry.
And then 6 was the, how is the special exception consistent with the character and intent of the underlying district as indicated in the zoning district with applicable zoning overlay? Obviously, it's in a general commercial zoned region, which allows that use for the special exception. You also mentioned in your application there's existing retail strip mall that premises are located in.
Yes, there's only 2 vacant spaces left. There's the restaurant. There are several restaurants there, 2 that have bars. There are the grocery store, the beauty salon, rent-a-center.
Then how would this proposed special exception be appropriate for its location and compatible with the permitted uses adjacent to and in the vicinity of the property?
Well, it serves to improve or help with the existing business, the Save-A-Lot, and the 2 restaurants that have bars. Also, I've heard nothing but positive response from the neighbors, my neighbors, that there's something there that we clean up, we keep things clean, and also, it's not an empty storefront anymore.
And then finally, how will this special exception not adversely affect the public interest?
It was requested by the customers and by the Save-A-Lot grocery store as an accessory to them.
Very good. Thank you for your testimony. Is anyone here to speak in favor or against this request for special exception? I think that's probably the best location we've ever had come before us for a liquor store.
Yeah, exactly.
I move that we approve this request for a special exception based on the applicant's testimony and written application and subject to all comments by staff.
A second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, motion carries.
All right, item number 14 on the agenda is case 2018-0128. It is Garner's Ferry Road, TMS 163150202. This is a special exception to permit a multifamily development. The applicant is welcome to come forward.
Good morning. My name is Kevin Conley. I'm with Conley Builders and Development. I am a lifelong resident of South Carolina. My office is in Lexington. We have built many apartment communities around South Carolina. We currently are licensed in 4 states: North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Virginia. And we have worked with many municipalities on providing workforce housing in those municipalities all over those states, including the City of Columbia. We've worked with the city's nonprofit on providing workforce housing, and we've also worked with the Columbia Housing Authority on a design build at the Rosewood facility, their elderly facility over there. The property that we are proposing to develop is roughly 7 acres out of the 14 acres that is shown in your package. The property's been vacant for over 30 years. Currently, there's, unfortunately, it's got trash on the property, and there's, when we went and investigated the property, there's several homeless folks living on the property, which is, not a good situation. But we're proposing 48 units, which is not a large development. It would fit nicely on this infill site. We would have on-site professional management, Intermark Management, that is located here in Columbia, manages all of our properties. I currently have over 40 properties in our portfolio. We have a build and hold business model. I still own the first development that I did. Started back in the late 90s. And we still own all the properties that I've developed. I think also in your package you can see some elevations. I've got some additional photographs on a thumb drive here if you want to see them of the site as it sits today with some of the trash and the homeless.
I couldn't tell, was there a site plan in your application on this particular site?
There should have been.
We had examples. So there was the Piedmont.
I didn't see an actual
Point,
site
and an
plan.
example
It's on that thumb drive. If you
labeled.
want.
We're not able to.
Oh, okay. Sorry. But what you see on the screen there is that's a similar project up in Greer, South Carolina, that's under construction. But the elevation that was on the prior slide, if you could pull that up for me, that's a similar elevation to what we do. But we've got 2 different designs, and we plan on working with the city on that design. We can do either a more residential look or what we call a semi-urban look, which is much like you're seeing today with the lower pitched roofs with the parapet fronts. There will be a clubhouse that will have meeting rooms for the residents. We have computers that are provided for the residents for after-school programs and job search for residents. The clubhouse has meeting space with kitchen and restroom facilities for meetings and activities for the residents. I'm I mentioned we had on-site management. We also, on all of our properties, we put camera systems, and we work with all the local law enforcement to have access to those camera systems. We think this is a great use. This provides much less traffic than other commercial uses that might utilize the property. It's already zoned for commercial use. So the residential, we think, would be a good buffer between the existing commercial, all while providing our residents a walkable community to also cut down on traffic.
It'd be helpful with us, if you wouldn't mind, if you've got your application handy, just going through the special exceptions there.
Yes.
So that we can just get that on the record.
Okay. Starting with item 1, describe the ways in the proposed special exception will not have a substantial impact on vehicular traffic or vehicular and pedestrian safety, and how adequate provisions are made in the proposed exception for parking and loading and unloading. The property is located within distance to services that many of our residents would walk, decreasing the amount of daily traffic in the area. Development would meet all applicable code requirements for parking. The proposed parcel is located off a main traffic corridor, which the residents would use as secondary road for exiting and entering the development during peak hours. And there's also an existing light already at the intersection.
So your access to this site will be off Daphne Road, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Where the stoplight, so there's an existing stoplight there at Gaffney, and you won't be interfacing with the other multifamily development there that has access on the next interchange down.
That is correct.
Gotcha. Very good.
Would you like for me to proceed, sir?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay. Item number 2, describe the ways the proposed exception will not have substantial adverse impact on adjoining properties in terms of environmental, such as noise, lights, glare, vibration, fumes, odors, obstruction of air, light, and litter. I'll address each one of those. Noise, it's a residential community. There's no loud noises. And as I said, we have on-site management that monitor and maintain that situation. Lights, we use down lighting in all of our communities. They're energy efficient lights. Glare, again, there will be no glare. The buildings don't have a lot of glass, just other than the residential windows that are required. There's no vibration. There's no fumes outside of ordinary residential use. There's no odors, and certainly no obstruction of air, light, or and then in litter, we have on-site maintenance that constantly monitor the grounds. The proposed development has no adverse conditions on the surrounding properties. As mentioned, our management and maintenance staff is there to properly monitor on a daily basis. The property to the rear is a park. It's owned by the city. To the left is existing commercial. To the right is existing multifamily, and the front is vacant that is also currently zoned commercial. So we think it fits well as a blend in that community and a buffer between commercial and residential. Item number 3, describe in what ways the special exception will not have an adverse impact on the aesthetic character of the area, to include a review of the orientation and spacing of the buildings. Again, we plan on submitting the plans and specs when they are completed. We have the 2 different elements, but the buildings will be organized in a manner that will have very nice curb appeal, professional landscaping, and will be maintained. We also have with our clubhouse, we have a playground for the children, and we always try to locate the playground and the clubhouse central to the community so that the children are safe inside the community. Item number 4, describe the ways in which the exception will not have an adverse impact on public safety, create nuisance conditions detrimental to public interest, or conditions likely to result in increased law enforcement response. We have over 35 affordable properties in South Carolina and North Carolina, and we have on-site management staff, as well as the camera systems that I mentioned. And we also have a screening process for all of our residents. We have a zero tolerance policy on crime and drugs in all of our communities. Because of that, we have a 97% occupancy on all of our properties in our portfolio. We believe that if you have good residents, then other people want to live with good residents. And when you have bad residents, that's not the case. Item number 5, explain how the establishment of a special exception does not create a concentration, proliferation of the similar types of special exception use, which concentration may be detrimental to the development or redevelopment of an area. The area is mostly comprised of commercial development, as I stated. Adding multifamily would provide a mix of housing and businesses in a walkable community. The land is currently heavily littered with trash and occupied by the homeless. The community will offer residents affordable and safe housing for the area. The adjacent property, we recently developed Abernathy, which is also another affordable community. It is 100% occupied with a waiting list. Those residents now enjoy a safe, decent place to live. Because of the program rules, we have there's a utility allowance. So with our units being built new, we have the most energy efficient units available for the residents. Number 6, explain how the proposed special exception is consistent with the character and intent of the underlying district as indicated in the zoning district description with any applicable zoning overlay district goals and requirements. Again, the surrounding areas, large commercial businesses providing multifamily on infill acreage is an ideal use of the land, and it serves as a buffer between the commercial and residential. Item 7, describe how the proposed special exception is appropriate for its location and compatible with permitted uses adjacent to the vicinity of the property. The special exception is appropriate because the parcel is located off a main traffic corridor. It's an infill lot. The parcel is located to adjacent neighboring apartments with close proximity to services, and in addition to the park at the rear. Item 8, explain what ways the proposed special exception will not adversely affect the public interest. This development will provide much needed workforce multifamily housing for the residents while providing access to many walkable services in the area.
Very good. Thank you for your testimony. Is there anyone here to speak in favor or against this application? Is there any questions from the board? Discussion?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir.
And I just want to put on the record that any development on this parcel, the multifamily development, it will go to Planning Commission for site plan review, so there will be formal site plan review.
Understood. So basically, this is just a special exception because the property is zoned C3 and multifamily is allowed in C3 with a special exception, and that's really the only thing we're determining here. I'd like to make a motion that we approve this request based on the applicant's testimony and written application and subject to all comments by staff.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
There's no other business on the agenda today.
I hereby call this meeting adjourned.
Adjourn.